Welcome to the Southeast Retirement Planners Podcast, where we will go beyond the balance sheet with our guests, not only to share from our personal experience as financial advisors of over 25 plus years, but also to learn from our guests about the issues and topics that are important to them. Our firm specializes in taking care of the financial plans for individuals and small businesses by helping our clients identify their individual goals and taking a conservative and ongoing approach to helping accomplish them. We are located in Hickory, North Carolina, and look forward to continuing to serve our clients and our community. Thank you for joining us. We hope you enjoyed this week's episode.
Hello, and welcome to the SRP podcast. We are lucky to have Kelle Huffman with us today, joining us again. My name is Stewart, and we're both financial advisors with Southeast Retirement Planners. And we want to thank you guys for joining us. We try to deliver a little bit of financial knowledge and useful information that you can use in your financial lives and daily lives. And before we get going with our topic today, I'd like to just tell you a little bit about our firm, Southeast Retirement Planners. We're located here in Hickory, North Carolina. We work with individuals and companies and help them with whatever their financial needs are and help give them guidance. And we try to spread some of that information through this podcast. So share this podcast with people. You can learn more about us at seretirementplanners.com. The website has all kinds of information, not just about our firm, but some good calculators and other videos and a collection of our previous podcasts as well. So check that out. But today, Kelle is going to talk to us, and she's had quite a bit of experience about estate planning. So we'll get started with that, Kelle. I'm excited to hear it.
Yeah, so I was excited to prepare this for everyone because, while we don't prepare the estate planning documents, we use an attorney to do that. We can help our clients beforehand with the decisions that they should be making or think about, and it saves them some time with the attorney, and we can kind of talk about it in a take as much time as we need to talk about it and make sure the decisions are made ahead of time.
Yeah, it helps you need to know a little bit about what estate planning is, as a client before you head into the attorney's office, because you don't want to waste that time that you're spending with the attorney as well.
Their time is very precious.
That's right.
Ours is too, but that's what we are there for, and just to help you guys out. And we enjoy doing that, and it's something that we need to make sure we have in place with all of our clients. So we enjoy doing that.
Well, let's get started then. And the first thing on the agenda here is basically what estate documents.
Yeah, what does that really mean?
Right.
Yeah, so we can use these words, and but what are estate documents? Sure. So the first thing is important is your will. Mm-hmm. So, and with the will, that tells who you want to take care of your assets who you want it to go to when you pass away, and also who do you want to manage that process. So that would help with that. You would choose an executor, and you would choose a backup. Okay. Sometimes the word for that, and I'll use backup today, but sometimes the word for that is successor or contingent. So those go hand in hand. So backup is your successor or contingent. Also.
Yeah, so you'll want to be thinking about who that you might want that to be, and that's those are people that will be involved in the estate settlement process, right? When something happens to you.
And if you have children, minor children, you want to make sure you think about a guardian, and that can be a guardian of the actual physical child,
right? And
a guardian of the funds that they would receive, and that can be two separate people, or it can be the same person,
right?
So that's something that you would think about too.
Yeah, and a question is who, and this probably answers the same answer for a lot of people, but who needs a will?
Right. So and I would say everyone definitely needs a will.
Yeah. And it's amazing the amount of people that we see that have, even from medium to significant assets that are going to have to go through the transfer process at some point to their beneficiaries or their loved ones or whatever they want it to go to that don't have, a will in place.
Exactly. Exactly. And some of those, sometimes if you don't have your will and you do have those minor children, you don't want the court to appoint someone
Right.
You want to make sure that's your choice.
Exactly.
Or and also sometimes you don't want them to get the funds outright, or you may not want them to get the funds just outright. You want to have some protections around that, so you can also do that through your will.
Right, and you know, we unfortunately we don't know when that will's going to be used. So, I noticed there's another document on here, a durable power of attorney.
Right. So you want to make sure if you have one in place already that it's updated, because there's some new language, and it's been some years back. I don't know exact years, but it needs to be updated to be a durable. So it would come into place when you're incapacitated. Right. Some of the older ones don't have that language. So if you're incapacitated, your power of attorney, they can't act on your behalf. You think that's when they are, are activated, but if it doesn't have that durable power of attorney language, it's not. So it's important to have that. And also you'll have a point of power of attorney who is someone very trustworthy and a successor or a backup.
So the next document's healthcare power of attorney. Would I have the same person?
Yeah, you can have the same person. It can be that person would probably want to be local, more local if you have a couple children and one's not. You may think about that as having someone that could come and act pretty quickly, and again have a backup.
And what kind of decisions for a healthcare power of attorney?
Yeah, so they could help if you can't make decisions, if you're injured so much, they would know your wishes and how you would want to act. Right. Which leads to the next document, which is very helpful to that person and to your doctors, of course, is the living will, because that would come into place if you have life-ending injuries or something that they're keeping you on life support.
You possibly couldn't speak or communicate,
right?
And they need to make decisions on your behalf, and that, like you say, that directs.
It takes the pressure off of them. Yeah.
They know what you want.
Yeah. That way you have pretty much made those decisions or your wishes.
Right.
How you want to do. So that takes the pressure off of them, and then they can sometimes they can override it, or sometimes, like in my choices, I chose for them not to be able to override it because I didn't want to put that pressure on them either.
Right.
So the attorney, though, you don't have to. The attorney will go through those and explain what they mean. So you just need to think about kind of have in mind what you would like.
But it sounds like just about all those documents, no matter what your level of wealth is, are important. Especially, the living will and healthcare power of attorney have nothing to do with your wealth. It's just, wishes and how you want to be treated as a human, really, so.
Right. And so that's real important. And that, I don't have a slide on this, but that does lead to one other thought, is also your burial wishes and your needs. If that's something that you can take care of ahead of time, I would highly suggest that, because that takes a lot of pressure off your family.
Okay. Yeah, that's a great point.
It's just something,
Okay, moving on. The next, what's the next thing?
I was going to list a couple of the steps just to think about, and have them on a piece of paper if you'd like to take a screenshot of this. But just the decisions you would need to make or think about is your executor and your backup, and then how you want your assets to go, and your guardian if you have minor children. Again, it could be of the funds and of the other child, and they could be two different people. And then if a trustee, if you happen to have a trust created in your will, like for those minor children, just who you would want to handle that. And that can also be a corporation, for a certain amount of level of funds, a corporation could be a trustee. And then, of course, your durable power of attorney and that backup, the healthcare power of attorney and a backup. And then think about your end-of-life decisions, and, feeding tubes, no feeding tubes, water, those kind of things. Just, what you would think. And those are the things we would talk through with you and just see what your thoughts are.
And we were kind of having this discussion in the office the other day about me personally. What age should you start putting some of these documents and processes in place?
And unfortunately, the sooner the better. If you don't have them, or if they're not updated also, it's just better to have those. And we always also joke that if you have them in place, you won't need them. So that's kind of your insurance policy of not needing them, is to make sure you have them in place. So which does lead to the next topic, is about your titling of your assets.
Right.
Because a lot of people don't know that you may have your assets titled to be payable upon somebody. That doesn't go through your will. So it may not go exactly how you think it's going to go.
Right.
So it's so important to make sure all your assets are titled properly.
Okay. And so when I'm setting up my accounts, I need to, make sure that all that's arranged properly.
Right. So like if it's just in your name, like your name is Les Stewart, that would go through your will when you passed away. If it was joint with your wife, with right of survivorships or other joint people, it doesn't have to be your spouse, that would go to them at your death. So that would not go through your will. And then also if it's payable upon death, or transferred on death, they use those two terms, those would not go through your or your IRAs that are beneficiary designated or life insurance. So there's a lot of things that could pass outside of your will.
Right.
We need to make sure they're titled properly.
And so you don't necessarily need to know all the ins and outs of all that, but you need to, ask those questions to your advisor.
Exactly.
And say, explain to me why this is titled this way and how it'll work if something happens to me. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay. That's good. The next thing I see here, beneficiaries, and I know we talk about that quite a bit, and I think a lot of people aren't aware of how beneficiaries work.
Right. So you need to have a primary, which, that's the first person, and then a backup if that primary is not there, or contingent successor, those kind of terms. So you would need to make sure you have that in place. If you do have documents, if you have already had your wills updated and some trusts are created possibly for your children, we need to know that so that we can make sure the contingent beneficiaries are titled properly. So that's important too. But that's, again, that's a great point. That's not something that you have to worry about. That's for you just to let us know, and we will take a look at it.
Right.
But
if your beneficiaries are not set up correctly, a lot of people aren't aware. It's that the beneficiaries supersede everything else.
Your will, exactly.
So,
you're exactly right. So if they're not changed, and I have run across that in my long career, of where they didn't notify the advisor. I was fortunate it wasn't us as the advisor, but it was an outside advisor, and that made it very, very difficult.
And I hear horror stories. I haven't experienced this myself, but have heard of horror stories where families have split and moved on to a divorce and moved on to another partner, and the beneficiaries were never changed, and the money ended up not going where the person would have wished it would have gone.
Right, exactly.
So,
yeah.
Make sure you check those beneficiaries.
Yeah. So and and also if you don't have children or someone that you family member, you can leave it to charities too. That's something that I think most people know that, but it's just something to think about. If there's or a portion of it.
Yeah,
you can
and
make
a lot of charities depend on that kind of stuff.
Yeah, they do. So that's good.
Okay, the next topic here is death of a spouse or parent.
Yeah, so that can be such a hard time, and which we have dealt with clients over the years, and people that we know also. So I just can't stress how important it is to have these documents already prepared and where you know where they are. Right. And so that if your spouse knows where they are, I've told my children where they are, so they'll know. It's not a morbid conversation to have, or it's just I've let them know, hey, this is where you go, and this is who you call. Right. If something happens, and then that way I don't have to worry about it, and they'll be taken care of.
Yeah, and I mean, and I've been with you where you walk people through that process of kind of helping them jog their memory what they need to put in that letter and that kind of thing.
Right, exactly. Where it's passwords. I had a dear friend that lost her husband at a very young age, and I went to help her, and she didn't know where. He paid his bills online, but she didn't know where. Right. And it wasn't through the bank account. Right. So it's each individual, like Duke Power, he paid them through their site. So she didn't know the passwords. Yeah, often, it just took some time.
Correct. Often as with your partner, one of you will have one set of duties and one will do the other. And a lot of times we see where one person handles the financials or the bill paying or that kind of thing, and it's a re-education process. And if you have those instructions for someone, that makes that a lot quicker and easier on that person. So.
Yeah, that time is just such a hard time anyway. If we can help relieve any stress during that time, that's where it can be in making those decisions. So, yeah, and I put there's no situation is the same. So, but we're there to talk through each individual person's situation.
That's right.
And help you with different suggestions. And we're always available. You can call us. Just give us a call. And if we need to answer some questions on the phone or me, we will be glad to help you.
Right. And all this is an important part of the whole financial process. It's while you spend a lot of time growing your money and saving for retirement, but inevitably we're all going to have to pass that on to someone else at some point. And if you don't have your ducks in a row, it can be a painful process for those left behind. So that's really the whole part of this. And like you said, we as advisors don't actually write the documents, but people like Kelle and myself can help you prepare and know what to look for and what you may need to consider when you're decided to go on that appointment. And we urge you to, if you haven't done that, to do it sooner than later.
Absolutely,
right?
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else, Kelle?
I don't think so. If you don't have an attorney, we have some that we can suggest if you come in and kind of give you a couple suggestions. So that's all.
Well, great. Well, thank you for that information.
Yeah, absolutely.
And one thing that really does help in the process that we have is a program that we use called Asset Map, and if you go to our website, you can go to Map My Plan, and basically through answering a few questions about your financial picture, it basically creates a picture of your where you have things and how how it's titled and that kind of thing, and it's a good piece just to print out and throw in
I like
that
it
letter.
For myself too. I can just stick it in the front of my book, and my kids know exactly where everything is. It's on one page, one snapshot.
Yep, and we've had a lot of clients take that to that meeting with the attorney, and it just makes their life easier too.
Yeah, the attorneys love that, yes.
So, once again, thank you for joining us. Kelle, thank you for joining me here today, and hope you've enjoyed this information. Tune in for the next episode, and if you know someone that this will be useful to, point them toward this podcast or give them our information, and we'll be glad to explain it to them. Have a great day.
Thanks.
Securities and advisory services offered through LPL Financial, a registered investment advisor. Member of FINRA, SIPC. Southeast Retirement Planners is not affiliated with LPL Financial or registered as a broker-dealer or investment advisor.